Here he is. So go ahead and let him take the mic.
You're talking about me.
Oh.
Hello, hello. Well, oh well, oh well. Well, anyone who's listening to this, I welcome you, I salute you, and I hope you're having a great day. My name is Ole Dammegard. I was born in Denmark many years ago, and I grew up in a family that were very much involved in the resistance movement in Denmark against the Nazi occupation during the Second World War. My granddad was in jail for helping to smuggle Jews. My father was in the resistance movement itself, and my grandmother's sister and some other women in my family were part of helping to supply weapons and baby cots and so on for the resistance movement. And so I grew up with all these stories about the importance of standing up for what is true, what is right, and what is correct to do as a human being, even though it can be shit scary from time to time. And so somehow, I'm not sure how I really ended up in this position where I am today, but it feels like it was almost like I was being trained for what was to come in future years. Then as a young boy, we moved to Sweden, so I grew up in Sweden. And I started working as a journalist down the line. During these years, I learned to listen to what people were saying instead of just listen to my own voice. I learned how to ask questions, and from the answers I was given, start also to understand when people are telling me the truth, when people are telling things that are not of any importance, and avoiding the important issues, so that when you give them a direct question, if they start avoiding it, you will start understanding that there's a reason why they're starting to avoid it. So many times in the silence you can read out a lot more of what is actually going on than what you think you're being fed. So that was a very good learning experience for me as well. Then in the early 1980s, I started becoming very, very interested in the JFK assassination. This was way, way, way before normal people were interested, as far as I know. And I saw very clearly, the first time I saw the Zapruder film, for those of you who don't know it, is a amateur film, a man that filmed when the motorcade came in Dallas, and he filmed the whole sequence of what happened, and it is so obvious in this filming that you can see that the final headshot is coming from the front to the right, hitting the president from the front to the right, and not from the angle where we're being fed to this very day. I mean, more than 50 years later, that the actual shooter was positioned, which was behind and up to the right. And I got really shocked, because I thought, how is it possible? I mean, I was a young man at that point. How is it possible that the whole world believes one thing, and it's so obvious when you use what I call Farmer Brown's logic? If a bullet comes from one direction, normal, there you go, boom, boom. Normal physics say that whatever it hits will be blown in that direction. So I started out on a quest for truth that I had absolutely no idea would take me 30 years down the road to this place. And this journey, like I said, with the JFK assassination, I started with reading, I think, a couple of hundred books. I got into great confusions to start with, because there were so many books that I found very truthworthy that were saying different things. For instance, like in one book, one person, he could be working for the CIA. In another book, he was working for the mob. And in another book, he was paid off by the FBI. And then in another one, he was working for the Secret Service. And I thought, my God, it's so confusing. Some of it must be wrong. I mean, some is correct and some isn't. I kept on, and in the end, I started writing a book just for my own sake, to try and sort out all the question marks and get a clearer picture. And what I found was quite mind-blowing, because I found that the exact same person was working for the CIA, he was financed by the FBI, he was doing extra work for the CIA, for the mob, and sometimes he was working with the Secret Service. And it was just like, what is going on? So that just got me more and more interested, and also more and more not so much liked by my friends, because when you go into this conspiracy world, it's very easy to get so obsessed with it that people around you just like, oh my God, take this weird guy away from me because I can't listen to a word more. Anyway, this JFK research is the further down I went into it, the more interested I became of the Robert Kennedy assassination and the Martin Luther King assassination, the Malcolm X assassination, the Abraham Lincoln assassination, and so on. And it took a while. Over the years that went, I started seeing like a very clear pattern of how these political assassinations were carried out. It was almost like they were following a bullet point list, like a template. Not that they looked the same in the way it was carried out. Thank you. I'm fine. No, thank you. I'm fine the way I am. But thank you. It's not that it was carried out in the same exact, like a replica in the street level by the mechanics that carried that out. But the whole setup with a patsy, a prepared patsy, an absolute innocent guy or group, the whole setup with false evidence pointing to this patsy, with the order coming from a very high level and carried out with the help of people on location, if that is in a different country or whatever city it is, with local backup, and also with an investigation, their own investigation on standby, so that as soon as the shot has been fired, their own people that are part of the assassination just moves in and kicks out all normal, honest, decent policemen and investigators. And this investigation that is on standby, their only task is to cover it up, and cover it up. And also point in all different directions. They went that way, they went that way, they went that way, they went that way. And their other task, which is quite scary, I found out down the line, was that one of the tasks is to control people like myself that was trying to find out what actually happened. So, like I say, that's one of the tasks, and they have special groups of so-called mechanics or elimination groups. These are sent out to intimidate, harass, scare off people like myself, which is, I mean, it's very easy to scare off most people. If you don't listen to normal threats, if you start get threats to your family, I mean, most of us would back down, and I can totally respect that. Or if people don't listen, then you can destroy their reputation, or if that doesn't work either, then you just get rid of them. And down the line, over these 30 years, I've seen multiple people being suicided, very strange accidents, cancer that comes from absolute nowhere, kicks you out in a week or two. You got heart attacks, strokes, and so on. And I'm not saying that normal heart attacks do not occur, but it's like when you start seeing a very clear pattern of just when somebody is about to make a breakthrough, when somebody is about to put it to the next level, go out in media, become a whistleblower, and boom, a stroke, boom, a heart attack, boom, drowned in its own bathtub with fully closed. Or like in Sweden, we have a beautiful example that absolutely no one knows about, a police commissioner on a very high level that stabbed himself 15 times and then hit himself in the face with something hard. His family still believes that that is what happened. I just wanted to demonstrate how it was done. Okay, are you ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'll take a rest and it's getting a bit painful here. 9, 10, 11, 13. Whew. pain. 14, 15, I'm on my way down. I put out something, hit myself in the face, then I put this knife behind me and fall backwards. Okay. I would say pretty goddamn amazing. Or a total lie. To this very day, I've got the autopsy protocol on these, and this is connected to the Palme assassination. So it's not just anything. It's a high-up police commissioner, and the death certificate that is where it confirms that it's a suicide is signed by one of the absolute top coroners in Sweden that was also part of the autopsy of the Swedish Prime Minister. So these are not things to easily oversee. So, anyway, like I said, I started to see a very clear pattern of how these were carried out. And then in 1986, suddenly, boom, the Swedish Prime Minister was shot dead in the streets of Sweden. This was an absolute traumatic event in Sweden, because up until that point, Sweden was a very peaceful country. There was, in my opinion, or most people in Sweden, everybody thought this is the perfect democracy. There's no corruption. You can trust the police. You can trust the politicians. Absolutely, everything is transparent and so on. So when this happened and the Swedish police got right on it, I thought, trauma, awful thing happened, but thank God we got a trustworthy police and so on. So it will be sorted. I mean, it was apparently what they first tried, the work of a lone crazy guy. Then they tried to blame it on a group, crazy group or fanatic group. They call them the PKK. Then they tried with another lone crazy guy, and it just went down the line until in the end they finally got the guy that they got sentenced in the end. His name was Christer Pettersson. Christer Pettersson was actually a witness. He was, thank you, everybody's so kind. He was actually a witness. He was called in to testify about someone else, and they checked him out, the investigation, which once again I would say, after all of these years, were part of the assassination itself. They found him very good as a patsy. You can even see notes where it says, really good type, former baronet murder. He committed a murder very close to the site of the assassination some years earlier. And the thing with this template, when they choose a patsy, I mean, this goes all over the place. It's the same again. They need a boogeyman, and they need, when it comes to these assassinations, they need a patsy that works well in media. Because it's a matter of persuading us, the population, saying, oh my God, they got the right guy. Look how weird he looks. In the old days, this boogeyman that they used were the East Germans, the Soviet type of thing, because during the Cold War, the fear was from the East. Then that went into, when that went out of fashion, when the wall went down, they said we need a new boogeyman, so they invented the Islamic terrorist. That worked super, because people from countries where Islam is the main religion, which by the way is a very, very peaceful religion. It's a very caring religion. If you start studying instead of just buying into what people or what the media is feeding you. The Muslims were turned into being a boogeyman because they work very well in media. They look a bit dark. Some of them have big mustaches, big eyebrows. They've got names like Muhammad Alap, Bahola, and they come from a country you don't even know where it is. So if you say, this guy did it, super, I'll buy that. Whoa, I need to be very scared of these dark ones. And this they pushed for years and years and years. When I'm saying they, I'll get back to who they are, because they are one of the reasons why I'm here in Copenhagen. Okay, so anyway, the boogeyman then, from when they've been pushing this thing with the Islamic terrorist for such a long time. I must say, after all of these years, I have not managed to find one single real terrorist ever. I'm not even sure there is such a thing, because every single time, whatever terror act, assassination, bomb thing, whatever it is, when you start looking into it, it goes back to the same group. Again. They're trained, or they're supplied with the weapons or the bombs, or it's executed by other people just being blamed on them. I mean, it's the same that keeps repeating. So these templates, I think, are crucial to understand. Anyway, I was talking about patsies. We came from the Muslim patsies, and then after 9/11, that was sort of the peak. Yay, top 10 or top 19 Muslims. Go for it. Wrong country, doesn't matter. We're going to go for Afghanistan, even though none of the so-called terrorists came from Afghanistan. Doesn't matter. They're black and their mustache works well. Then after the Muslim, they went into, no, we need to go more so that we need to keep the fear mode up. So we started, nowadays we see with the mass shooting in Norway and some of the mass shootings in the States and so on, people get more and more blonde, blue-eyed, and now the latest one, I love that one. I mean, he's almost like, he's got his own model profile, I'm sure, because now this young guy who shot all of these women because well, apparently he was disappointed with women, and so he recorded himself before doing it. If you look at it, I'm going to go into false flag operations later on, but it's so well set up, you know, even the lighting, you know, sunlight in the background, palm trees. He's a beautiful guy, absolute. And then he's like, you can almost see him read the prompter on the outside. Oh, I'm so disappointed with women, and now you will get it. And then we have, okay, it says evil laughter. Okay, I will do the evil laughter. Ha 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 ha. This time. I mean, come on. It's okay with one of them, but when you start looking into these things, and we're talking in the hundreds, it starts becoming a bit ridiculous. In the old days, at least they had a good budget, good time to plan, skilled people and so on, but now they're speeding it up to an extent that is just incredible with all these false flag operations. And it's becoming so sloppy. So sloppy. They're even using actors, crisisactors.com, you can go there, .org, sorry about that, you can go there and you can even, I had people who I know who went there and applied as extras for different false flags in the state and were accepted. The only thing that the people that accepted them, they even talked to the producer and the cast manager and so on. The only thing they didn't know was that he was working for Revolution Radio. That was a bit of a bummer for them. But anyway, and they said that, so what is your background? What would you work good like? Well, he said, I have a bit of a beard like that. Maybe I could go for a headmaster. They said, yeah, headmasters are good. Yeah, because we've got some schools coming out now in Oklahoma. Have you got a problem with transport? We can help you. And so he said, no, I can go to Oklahoma. And so he was actually recruited. He could have been in one of these type of things. Anyway, I'm getting a bit off track. So I'm going to get back on track. Like I said, I looked in and I started seeing this template being used. And then the Palme assassination happened. Like I said, I totally trusted Swedish police, government, all of these things. The country I grew up with, super country, perfect white island, democracy in top level of the world. We, the people, helping the weak. Giving poor political prisoners asylum and so on, come to our beautiful white democracy. I thought I grew up in a perfect country. And then I started seeing that the same template was happening in Sweden. It freaked me out. I was like, how is it possible that the assassination of the Swedish Prime Minister was following the exact same bullet point list? I say it can't be, because I mean I've been studying these assassinations that follow that one. They've been carried out in the States, in South America, and in other countries like that. And here in Sweden, how on earth is that possible if they're not connected? And how can they be connected? So I followed the template that I put together myself from the other assassination. I thought, okay, this is what they did. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, in the whole sort of formula on how to get the population duped into think that it was a job of a lone crazy guy. So I just looked in Sweden, step 1, 2, 3, 4, they followed. So if it would be the template, step 5 would come shortly. Within a week, boom, step 5. It freaked me out because it just turned my whole world upside down, because I thought, how is it possible that an assassination with the Swedish government, with the Swedish police, everybody involved, trying to investigate the whole thing, and then they follow the same template that has been used behind the JFK assassination and all of these other assassinations over the years? How is it possible if they're not connected? So from that point of view, once I got up and out of this shock state, I started to see if I could aim and get a grip of, from a higher point of view, how could they be connected and by whom and so on. So at that time as well, I met David Icke. That was in, I think, late 80s or around 1990 or something like that. At that point, he was, I don't know anyone who had heard of him. I had no idea who he was, but I just went there because that day I hadn't anything else to do. And we were 82 paying people or something like that. Absolute, it's like he said, he couldn't even fill a phone booth with audience in those days. But what happened was that during that hour or two when he was speaking to me, suddenly he pointed out all these, where all the hours that I by then had put into the finding out what actually happened in Stockholm when he was shot. I had all these leads that were going up, but there was no connection. And then he came and just put the top of the whole pyramid on this whole thing in front of my very eyes. In just 1 hour, it's just like, whoa! Suddenly it all made sense. How can they do this? How are they carried out? And how are they connected? And one of the ways they're connected is through the Bilderberg group, which is why we're here. And the thing is with Olof Palme is that he was a Bilderberger himself, and that was also one of the reasons why he was taken out, in my opinion. I spent 30 years of it, so I'm not just bullshitting. I put a lot into this. I don't know if I mentioned, but I had friends that died. I had 2 friends that was murdered because we were getting too close to the truth. I spent 12 years in Sweden doing this. I mean, I'm just a normal person. I just try to. I've moved to Stockholm on my own. I cleaned toilets. I drove a bus. Anything to finance myself while doing this. So every hour I was off work. I was trying to find out. Find witnesses, find everything in Stockholm. And in the end, the picture that slowly appeared was unreal. I mean, there I was, Mr. Absolute Nobody, and I managed to track down foreign agents. I tracked down assassins in Sweden. I didn't even think it existed, you know. I tracked down sleeping agents. I tracked down neo-Nazi police officers that were part of the assassination, and so it's really scary stuff, especially when you're on your own. No protection, no nothing, and especially if you're in that risk zone where it's so easy for you to disappear. So I early on discovered that there's a lot of these people dying in very strange circumstances, even in Sweden, when it comes to these conspiracies and around them. So I understood either there's only 2 different ways and we have a saxophone player in the audience somewhere. Welcome, welcome. There are different ways of protecting yourself. Either you need to get the spotlight on you big time. That is one way of protecting yourself, and that is for the few, some people that are famous before, and so they can be protected like that. Or you need to go under the radar, go stealth, go very anonymous if you want to keep on doing this. And that was the way I did. So what I did was I on my own, I looked up everyone I could find that knew anything about the assassination. I looked up witnesses. I tracked down the Swedish part of this assassination. It was not a Swedish assassination. It was an international hit done by a very skilled team of assassins, but with Swedish backup. I tracked them down, all of them over the years. I've named them all with names and photos, everything, how the whole thing was carried out in my book, Coup d'etat in Slow Motion. It is a book, it's 880 pages. That is not because I like writing, because I find that dead boring, but it is the only way to be able to explain how complex it is and how entangled it is with so many other global conspiracies. They are actually connected. Many of these things that we think are separated events, I would say, are connected. We're talking the JFK assassination, Martin Luther King, Robert Kennedy, Malcolm X, Bob Marley, yes, he was murdered, John Lennon, General Carlos Smith, you got Salvador Allende, the overtaken there, you got Robert Smith in South Africa, Uwe Barschel in Germany, the whole Iran-Contras, Watergate, you got Olof Palme, the Vietnam War, the whole thing is connected. And one of the things that are connecting is it's the terms that are coming up again and again. It's oil, drugs, weapon, pedophile trafficking, and I'm sure I forgot something. But this is what is going around. And I must say, Olof Palme was also involved in some of this. He was, I don't say this lightly, but according to what I've found out, that this was a man with multiple faces, a man that was one for the audience, for the public, for the population of Sweden and other countries, saying what they wanted to hear. By the way, it's not difficult to be a politician, I would say. I can say, I will give you change, I will give you freedom, I will give you liberty, I will give you lower taxes, please vote for me. Okay, that's it. Change, freedom, that's what people want to hear. But in the background, and this is why groups like the Bilderberg group is so important to see how they are connected, because there's one thing what I say to you, but if I have my loyalty somewhere totally different, does that make me trustworthy? I think not. The Bilderberg, I hope I'm not going too much in zigzag or getting all over the place. But if you see a group like the Bilderberg group, people say, so what does it matter? Come on, give them a break. They need to meet in privacy and have a nice coffee together, discuss, and, they need some time off as well. Why even bother? I mean, they're just like people like us. It's like a nice club for them to have a break. I would say, okay, let's say that we're talking about football players instead of football teams, and it's before the World Cup. There's a lot of gambling going around on who's going to win the World Cup, and so anything like that by betting and all of these things. So it's important that the play is clean and there's no corruption. What if suddenly it came out that all the teams in the World Cup, all the trainers, all the owners of the team, all the key players in those teams met up secret meetings before the World Cup, behind locked doors with no media look into it, no nothing. And it was discovered that, oh my God, all these teams from all these different countries have these meetings. Nobody knows what's going on. And then, oh my God, it was Argentina who won again. Oh my God, it was Argentina who won again. Oh my God, it was Argentina again. Or something like that. You would think that I would like to know what are they talking about? Ah, come on, you need to let them, they're football players, let them enjoy themselves. They're there to do it private. I mean, come on. It doesn't matter that there's a whole bunch of security and NATO forces around them and helicopters and black limos. Give them a break. They need to meet each other on their own. They're just talking. I would put a little question mark to that. I would say, okay, fine, if you want to meet, I cannot interfere with that, but at least have windows on the buildings where you meet. At least open gates, like maybe a journalist or two. I mean, they can join as well. They like football. Is that too much to ask for? Maybe an agenda. Maybe we can listen in. Absolutely not. So, question mark. This is what is happening, but on a global scale with the Bilderberg group. And if you start seeing, I mean, in my book, Coup d'etat in slow motion, in the English version, the last 200 pages are just membership lists of the Bilderberg group from 1954, when they were created by people with super Nazi roots. From 1954, all the meetings, all the members, all the agenda that I've been able to track down over all of these years. If you start studying what was going on in these meetings, and then you study world history, you will see that there's this odd similarity that whatever was on their agenda somehow magically happened within the year that followed. Whatever they took up there, boom, it happened. My God, it couldn't be a pattern. You're just paranoid. Well, I would just like to say that I have been informed by an MI6 agent that the word paranoid has been misunderstood, because paranoia actually means, according to him, I don't know if it's true, he says it is the ability to see events connected that other people cannot see. The ability to connect dots that other people cannot see. So in that case, I'm a proud paranoid person. Anyway, so thank you. Anyway, so the thing is, I'm not a very clever person. I think I'm a somewhat logical person. And when I come to a crime scene or anything, I use what I'm called Farmer Brown logic. Not, it doesn't matter. The truth is the truth. The truth is very, very simple. You don't have to keep track of the truth. The truth just is. But if you start lying about an event, if you start making a conspiracy with more than one person involved, you will see that there are more and more lies. The more people involved, the more lies. Because they can't keep track of what did he say, what did he say. And then I say, oh my God, did you say that? Because I said it was a Tuesday. Well, I said it was a Wednesday. I'm sorry. We have to cover it up. More lies. Truth, very simple. Okay? That's why I've got a super bad memory when it comes to normal things. So I try to stick to the truth because I have no idea what I said. But I know that if I stick to the truth, if somebody said, well, you said that, I did not. Because I know I would never say anything like this. A lot easier to live a life without lies. Anyway, or anyhow, I lost the thread. It's coming back. So, you have a question? No. Okay. Oh, otherwise, doesn't matter. Okay, we're talking about lies and conspiracies. Anyway, so when it comes when I come to a crime scene, like I said, I use Farmer Brown logic. It's many of these so-called conspiracies. They're extremely complicated. Not, you don't have to be very clever. For instance, we have the assassination of Robert Kennedy. Yes, it was Sirhan. No, it was not. Okay, how do I know that? How can I say that so easily? Okay, this is just an example. Robert Kennedy in the kitchen. Sirhan, the killer. Sirhan has a revolver with 8 bullets. 13 bullets are fired. How much intelligence, I mean, they say an IQ of 10 makes it possible to feel the difference between hot and cold water. Okay, I would say an intelligence quote of like 15 maybe would say that a gun with 8 bullets, especially when he was jumped right away by the other people taking the gun away from him, how can he fire 13 shots? Open case. There must have been a second shooter. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm saying there's a conspiracy. blatant. Somebody else was shooting. Okay, Sirhan was standing right in front of him. He never got closer than at least a meter 30, something like that. Okay, so of course Robert Kennedy was hit, boom, boom, boom. Absolutely not. He was hit, boom, 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 from the back and to the right. Once again, a no-brainer. The shooter must have been standing in front of him. No, back and to the right. Am I overcomplicating it? I would think not. Okay, so who was standing behind him? The shooter. Who was the shooter? That's the whole point. And then when you start looking into that, that would lead you further down the road to a conspiracy. Because a conspiracy by law is that when it's more than one person with a plan to inflict pain on something or have a hidden agenda, that is what's called a conspiracy. And that is why they always try to avoid that by blaming it on a lone crazy guy. Every single time you hear the word lone crazy guy, you can just put equals conspiracy. The reason why they want a lone crazy guy is because he was alone, no conspiracy. There was no planning, and the reason why he was crazy is because there was no motive. He was crazy. He just went up, boom, shot him, without any reason. I'm crazy, I'm very sorry, I just happened to shoot the Prime Minister or whoever. No political reason, I was just crazy. And what they do, stuff the guy away, sometimes kill him, just shut him up, and case closed. So please, lone crazy guy equals conspiracy. Definitely. Or at least a major question mark in the corner. What is going on? So no-brainers. Once again, I come to a crime scene. It's like I say, I use Farmer Brown logic. It's like if in my world 1 + 1 = 2. If somebody says it equals 134, I know this person is lying. It doesn't matter what type of title, or if they can show it in a 3D computer animation that it equals 34. I know it's not true. And the reason why they're trying to tell me it's 34 is indirectly the cover-up of the real reason it was done. So you can track it back that way. The more lies, track one. If there's a lie, there's a reason for the lie. And then you just uncover them one by one, and it will get you closer and closer and closer to the truth. So, it's an interesting world when you get into this world of conspiracy, and a very strange world as well. But there's a very certain logic to it also. And one of the things that they use, they being members of the Bilderberg Group, Trilateral Commission, Council on Foreign Relations, these type of organizations, where many of them are members in more than one of these secret, by a very nice discussion clubs, as they call them, or think tanks. One of the ways they do it is they use different, what is called, it's actually old Roman tactics, and one they love using is the old one called problem, reaction, solution. And this is one that you will see on a daily basis almost, how it's been carried out in different variations, but again, again, and again, and again. And if you want, I can just give you a quick run through a template of how it's used and how they do it, because that will make you aware the next time it's happening that, whoa, I've heard it, I'm gonna see if could this really be happening again, and again, and again, and again, and if so, would it be possible that there's actually something very weird behind it, and if so, who is behind it, and if so, what would the motive be? Problem, reaction, solution. I will go into that now. If you study history, which I think is super important to do, to be able to avoid repeating itself, that history repeats itself. If you study history and you see, for instance, military takeovers in Latin America and so on, like what they've done, if there was a military coup, for instance, in Argentina or Chile or Bolivia or so on, there's a small group of military people backed up with it's this by the same elite group, but through Henry Kissinger and so. But what they did was that they overnight, boom, took over, killed the old president, and took over and got into a power position overnight. Excellent, excellent for them. Not again, because when you see what happened after that was that when people woke up and saw the next morning that, oh my God, we got a general sitting there where our elected president sat yesterday. By the way, he's dead on the floor. And now we got this general who says, I'm going to put you all in jail. You have to do whatever I say or I'll just blow your brains out. Not a very nice position. So the population got very, very upset in these countries saying, why, this is not going to happen, I tell you. So there was lots of demonstration, lots of resistance movements, guerrilla things. So what he did, or they did on a standard basis, was to send out military to mass arrest people and fill the jails. I mean, they filled football stadiums. They took them away. They tortured them because they couldn't get all of them. So then they had to torture all of these people, tell us where the rest of us are, or we kill you. Okay, some of them told, some of them didn't. They killed all of these. Then they had to fill the new jails with the new ones they got. And it just got messier and messier and messier. And in the end, it was like the military, they had to have almost as many militaries and soldiers in the streets as normal people just to be able to control the thing. And with a very, very angry population and a very angry, the countries on a global scale very upset with this, with the situation many times. Not the way to go. So what would be a better way to go? Problem, reaction, solution. What you do is, let's say that we're in Denmark now, let's say that I am the elected Prime Minister, by the way, a Bilderberger. If I were in charge of this country or in power here, and I wanted, this is an example I've used before, but I'll do it again. If I wanted the Danish very nice police to look like Robocops, have drones in the air flying around, being able to blow anyone up without any reason, if I wanted to be able to kick in doors without warrants, if I wanted the police to drive around in tanks and all kinds of super high-tech vehicles, if I just did that, which is, by the way, exactly the situation in the States now, if I just did that with overnight, that suddenly people woke up and there was all this, suddenly they found themselves in a police state, I would have massive problems here in Denmark. I would have uprisings, I would have demonstrations, just like in these other countries. So the way to do it instead, if that is what I want to, is that I secretly create a problem. The problem is very often in the form of bombs, mass shootings, these type of things. It can be in different ways. It can be financial also, that they hit in a financial way to create and devastate a country's economic situation. It can be done in different ways. But they love the bombs they love the drama and the whole thing because it's easier to get a reaction from the public to ask for the solution. So, for instance, here in Denmark, I've been a little criticized because I said that the meeting for the Bilderberg group would be a possible place for a false flag operation, one of these problem reaction solution. In this case, because when I came here, I found that the security arrangement for this hotel was absolutely awful. The location of the hotel, everything was a joke. I came there the night before. Normally at these super secret Bilderberg meetings, there's weeks ahead, there's police everywhere. They'd shut off the roads, there are helicopters, there's snipers, all of these types. I came here the night before the meeting. I mean, less than 12 hours before, 2 police officers picking their nose, looking around, totally not interested in anything. I could walk up all the way to and look into the hotel. I mean, unheard of. On the other side of the hotel, open water. Very, very difficult to secure when it comes to safety and so on. Any boats, any divers, any military, nothing. Totally open. But 3 limos, they always come in black limos to these meetings. 3 nicely polished limousines on the outside of the entrance. No people, just limos put. And then there was some people putting up like a concrete wall around the whole thing. So I thought, how odd is this? This is really, really weird. And also that when this is in central Copenhagen with a big one of the main streets going right outside the hotel, it's just like you could do whatever when it comes to drive-by shootings, drive-by use a bazooka, whatever, if you're afraid of terrorist attacks. Thank you. Thank you. Yum, yum. So when it comes to security, absolutely awfully chosen location. Also the name leaked out so early, so early. And the whole surrounding, it's just like glass buildings with windows everywhere, open for very, very hard to secure by the security personnel and so on. So I thought, these are not stupid people. Absolutely not. So why on earth would they choose a place like this? And after 30 years of looking into different false flag operations, and so the answer that came to me was, what would it be perfect for? It would be perfect for a decoy as a hotel, that they actually did not meet there. They actually met somewhere else. They got all of us, the Truth Movement. I'm just one person. I'm not part of any organization. But all of these truth seekers to come in one place. They even fenced in a whole area saying, welcome in here, Mr. Sheeple, in there. And right in front of the hotel, so that they had total control over us. The hotel themselves, if what I suspected, they would, the hotel would be totally empty except for some doubles that would just come in black limos, walk in, and I have a name tag, so I'm one of them. Okay, which they actually did. I was watching. There were so many, not very many limos, I must say, that came the next day, and with people I did not recognize one single of them. Did they hide? No, they came out in the window saying, we're actually in here, you know. We are. You can see, and I've got the name tag as well. So I thought, also the whole area is like, it's a gravel area, just open area right in front of the hotel. And the buildings surrounding, all of them are owned by the elite insurance companies, banks, and the police headquarters right behind it. Perfect for something totally different. So we have problem, reaction, solution, that they create a problem to blame it on someone else, to get the reaction from the public saying, oh my God, something needs to be done. They turn towards me, who have secretly created the problem, and I will come forward with a solution. I would say, oh, I'm very sorry, but to be able to deal with a problem of this magnitude, I need to, and then here comes Mr. Robocop in his tanks and drones and all of these types of things. We go back to this place here with a hotel. I just thought, bad, bad, bad for security, good, good, good for a false flag. You look at it, I'll just paint a little scenario of if I was the one staging one of these false flag operations. And by the way, I spoke to Chip Tatum, who was he was a deep cover agent, CIA agent for 25 years. He was a black op assassin. He was a Night Stalker pilot. He was one of the pilots in Iran-Contras, and he was part of Pegasus, which was George Bush Sr.'s private hit team for several years. He was the commander of one of the groups. Not a beginner, not an amateur. I went straight home when I had this bad feeling. I called him up. I said, listen, he's a whistleblower now. So he's not one of them anymore, hopefully. Anyway, he said right away, and he has been part of Black Ops and false flag before himself. He said right away, this sucks. He said, get away. There's something very wrong there. So he said, it looks like a perfect setup for a false flag. Okay, so I'll just paint the scenario how they could have been planning it. Okay, we get all the Truth Movement, because the Truth Movement is something they have problems with at the moment. We are becoming the bad guys because we do not give up. We're still curious and saying, listen, we're not buying this kind of crap. We want the truth and we want our lives and our power back, you know. And that is becoming a problem more and more, that we do not back down and it keeps spreading out. So it would be very useful for them to somehow demonize the whole truth movement. How could they do that? By making it look like we were very violent and attacking this poor little global elite who are so defenseless. So if you imagine the scenario, you have a film team down, not a film team like TV crew, but their own film. So you've got a film crew down the street, wide angle, so that you got both the hotel and the area where the truth seekers are gathered. They were thinking, and I think hoping, that there would be like 2,000-3,000 people there, because you need a good crowd to get the drama. They need drama. It's like if you're trying to create this, it doesn't work if you got like 14 people there and 2 over there. You can't start a riot. It's like, come on, go. It doesn't work. But if you got 2,000-3,000 people in one place, it's very easy to just get the whole thing going. So what you do is get them in there. You see there's only one entrance, so you just push them in there. You put the police for their security, of course. You put them in front of the whole thing so they don't get out. And then you start stirring it. You send in provocateurs. It's enough I tell you, it's just enough with a handful. And they always look the same. They're so not good at hiding. Maybe I shouldn't give them tips and hints. Just, if you listen to me, people, provocateurs, be a bit creative when it comes to your shoe wear. Don't you wear the same shoes, all of you. And by the way, very often military boots. It doesn't go together with you looking like a truth seeker. There's not a lot of us using commander boots or the same, or at least on the same tags around you. Be a bit careful when it comes to details. Bit fantasy, imagination maybe, different colors, anything like that. And don't walk like you normally walk when you're security guards. It's not the walk of a truth seeker. They stand out like a sore thumb. Or you got the real hoodlums that are like... Anyway, it doesn't matter. You send them into the crowd. And what you do normally when they start these things, the crowd is totally peaceful, no problem at all. Then these guys goes in, everything quiet, and suddenly, kill the boy! They start screaming, shouting, all of these. Sometimes they start throwing rocks, getting the thing going. And if that doesn't work, then you make an arrest of somebody innocent. By the way, the person they arrest, if they don't take a real person, is very often one of the provocateurs as well. So the police or people in uniform grab somebody innocent, looking innocent, and starts dragging them down the street. So the crowd goes, oh my God, that is so not right, and you stir it up. The crowd thinks, oh my, it's so bad, and they start to try and go and help this person. So you get this whole thing going, whoop, whoop, whoop. At the same time, they start throwing rocks and things at the police, get the whole thing going. Once that's done, boom! Off goes a bomb inside this empty hotel, blows the whole front of the hotel up. You got aerial coverage, you got all of these things set up, because it is smoke, explosions, blooded bodies and so on, especially women and children. That is what they normally use to get the emotional impact from the rest of the population, saying, oh my God! And they will right away point to the truth seekers, saying, my God, they claim that they're only here to seek the truth, and what do? They massacre these poor, innocent politicians or whatever. And by the way, I would be very surprised to see if there are any dead ones, because normally they present a list of people that was killed in these. It's very often when you start checking out these names, there's no such person. It's just names. But maybe they would take a few old Bilderbergers that they had no use for anywhere, let them be blown up so to get credibility. But otherwise it would be drivers, security people from the kitchen, cleaners, anything like that. Blow them up, give it credibility. And then I just want to say that the morning after, because when I got this very eerie feeling, I went straight back and I reported to about 35 international radio stations, just saying, please record the time and date. I got the host of the shows to record the time and date when I said this. And if this happens, this is recorded before. And hopefully by spreading out that, if that is their plan, it will defuse the whole thing. It will not happen. Maybe, hopefully also, it will scare people away so that there will not be 2,000-3,000 people there. That would make it possible, the whole thing. So I might be very responsible for that there's not a lot of people turning up. Very sorry about that. At the same time, some people have approached me and said, you scare me. Okay. And is it really right to go out and spread fear like that? I said, what would you prefer? On one hand, you get a tingling, a bit uneasy feeling in your stomach. In the second option, you get totally blown to pieces. You make a choice. I would think I prefer the tingling feeling in the stomach. Yeah? Okay. So that is why I knew that I put myself out there making possibly look like a total idiot. At the same time, when you see what has happened, if that was their plan, it's not working at all. It's been diffused. Everybody's fine, safe and happy. I'm happy. Whatever, if I was totally wrong, I'm happy. If I was right and it has helped to stop it, I'm totally happy. Everybody happy. Good. But when I came the day, it was yesterday morning, I was one of the first who came to the area. What do I find? I find a massive big pentagram on the outside, right in front of the hotel, made by railroad, what do you call them, sleepers, these big wooden things from railroads, yeah? A massive big pentagram. I was like, what the hell? And next to it, there was another pentagram made by, like, traffic cones and then taped in a pentagram thing. And in the middle, there was a barbecue grill. Now, if you look at how the elite are using these, very often they have a pentagram with fire in the middle. And also they use this pentagram in a very, very negative way. So I just thought, I'm not having this. So I spent like half an hour sweating, pulling these things apart. I mean, they're goddamn heavy. Anyway, so it turned out that later during the day, because I just want to say, if that had been a false flag, can you imagine the aerial footage? Boom! You got the whole crowd going crazy. Boom! Explosion. You got smoke. You got blown up bodies and that, and a massive big pentagram in the truth movement corner, trying to demonize the truth movement, with the result of ban all possibilities to demonstrate, ban all possibilities to protest, to gather in groups and more than 5 and so on. It will be spread globally. Look at what happened in peaceful Denmark. Oh my God, this truth movement, they're crazy, crazy. They're so dangerous. We need to stop it on a global scale before it repeats itself. That is what I say. It is there is a strong possibility that could be a scenario when you see into the mentality of how they normally work. Then I found out who had put these pentagrams there, because I thought somebody had come here during the night, set up the whole thing. You know, I was walking around because Chip Tatum also told me, when you go into an area like that, you need explosives in different areas, in different positions, and smoke bombs. Because it's not only enough with just explosions, you need the smoke as well. We're talking film effects, you know, boom, blow it up, blow it up. So he said packages, parking meters that looks, they are not the same as the other ones, strange things like that. It could be like toilets, these types of things. So I was like walking around taking photos, did not see anything. And then I was approached by this, this guy, a very tall guy with a drum and a white hat and a very strange t-shirt, and a woman from Norway with a flower hat and a pentagram with flowers and a big violet, like a tent type of dress. And they say that he came up and was very upset with me because he said, "You have destroyed our workshop." I said, "What workshop?" "Well, we are here to celebrate the light and love, and you have destroyed our symbol, the star symbol." I said, "You mean the pentagram?" "No," he said, "the star symbol." I said, "I did not do that. I took away a pentagram." And I pointed, "Yeah," he said, "that's it." I said, "But listen here. You may see a star sign or a star symbol. I see a pentagram, and everyone else will see a pentagram. Not a good idea. This is the Marriott Hotel. I'm sorry, the Bilderberg group are here. They're here." So it's not a very clever way to, the choice of symbol is not very well done, I would say. And there was actually, like I said, two. He was very upset, this guy, and said, "Please come and help me repair it." I said, "If you want a square or 8 edges on a star, I'll be happy to build it for you or help you with it. Pentagram, absolutely no way." Then the woman came up to me, and the guy took a drum and started walking around me drumming like this. And she came up and talked to me about this whole love. And I said, "It's beautiful. What you say is beautiful, but the choice of symbol absolutely sucks. I will not help you, and I would be very happy if you were not here. You are welcome, but please, that is not going on." So in the end, they left. Today they were here again. And while Aaron and some other key speakers were talking, this woman in purple, she came and started walking around while everybody was filming, walking around me and the other ones in circles, and she took over the microphone. They were there when Danish TV were there. You can laugh at it, but like media will film this and say, "Look at the truth movement," and they will film that woman, you know. Nice woman, but totally, I don't know where she came from or why she was there. And so she was walking around with goat horns like this and all of these things, and drum in the background, and took over the microphone between the speakers, and all of it just giving this whole feeling of absolute joke when it comes to the truth movement. Why she was there, I don't know. Why the pentagram was there, I don't know. She says it was because of their workshop. I would say it fitted in very well in the template for a false flag. So anyway, I'm getting pretty tired of listening to myself, and that's about it. I just want to say to everyone out there, please do not feel that you are on your own. You are not. Every single one of us are so important, and it's only by us waking up. And please, when you try to wake other people up, be gentle. Be gentle. It's painful to wake up, and it's not, you cannot force it down people's throats. Live by example, and I would say stand for love, not violence, not fear, not anger. I have a question here.
You were talking about the problem solution.
I cannot hear you, please.
You were talking about the problem solution.
Yeah.
And the bombing of the Marriott. What would that create as a false flag?
Okay, the reaction.
What I want.
Okay, the solution would be to ban the whole truth movement. The solution would be to totally get rid of us in one go, like this. Totally ban all possibilities for us to stand up and say, "Listen, this is not okay." For us to protest, demonstrate, for us to gather in big groups, for us to have meetings like this, for us to have broadcasts like this. Once again, another way of trying to control internet, and so saying, "My God, the truth seekers, look how they misused the internet, how they've gathered all these people to do these horrendous things." Many things that would be the boom, boom, boom. And the result, problem, reaction, solution. The solution is always the same. It will cut down on your liberties. It will get you to a more controlled, militarized, fascist state where you are becoming more and more of a prisoner. Not a beautiful place, and not one I would like to live in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, Ole. Okay, you've done a lot of study on a lot of things, so you can see the patterns and everything. For example, the profile. Okay, the profiles of a false flag. You know, you get your patsies, you get patsy handlers, and then you've got the coordinators, and then the directors, and then the decision makers and the financiers, everything. And you see all these levels operating at, different events, like Oklahoma City and whatever it is, scenario. You see this layer, and then you've got these black ops elements of different government agencies or agencies of, whatever is working in the area that come in, and their primary purpose is to direct assets into, false directions, cover up, as you were saying.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, could you explain what you've seen from your perspective and in your study? Could you fill in some of these details? Because I've not done a lot of the intense study, but this is the general form that I'm seeing as I'm, I do my studies.
So what parts is it that you don't see that you would like to explain? I did not really understand the question.
Okay, let's see. Well, anytime a false flag occurs, you have many different elements that are in the environment,
mm-hmm.
That are influencing the environment.
Yeah.
Whether it's, like JFK or
would you like me to describe how it's set up?
Sure, yes.
Okay,
I
can give you...
So that we can better understand it if we see it again.
Okay, what do you want? A template for an assassination or a template for a so-called terror act? We go for a terror act?
I consider them all,
No, but they're similar but not totally equal.
Excellent. If you could describe the different types,
that's what I'm saying.
So that we could better recognize it.
Okay.
Empower your
we go
listeners.
for... I've just explained a bit about this false flag, how it's work. If they do a false flag operation, what they do is, like I said, secretly create a problem to get a reaction. And if I go how they prepare the whole thing. If we say we're going to do this whole bombing thing, what I would do, we say here in Copenhagen, for instance, how I would set the whole thing up. One of the things is I need to find a patsy. That is one of the reasons, somebody to blame this whole thing on, so that I can then come with a solution. In this case, it would be the truth movement. What I would do, I would send in a team here first. It's totally compartmentalized, always, so that people, even the people that are taking part of the operation, have absolutely no idea who gave the order, who financed it, why, and so on. So, and that is done by design. Every single of these type of operations, cut up. So you only know yours, tiny little bit. Maybe you're the one supplying the explosives. You've just got an order from that exact amount of whatever, and you deliver it to that address. Then you're out of the picture. Somebody else transported to another address. Then they're out of the picture, and so on. And you put this whole thing together. Very often, especially lately, the last 10 years, since 9/11 more or less, they started doing drills at the same time. And these drills are an exact copy of what is going to happen. And they use these drills to get explosives in position, to get people that they're going to blame it on, the patsies, in position. They think often that they're part of a drill, and then in the middle of this whole drill, boom, it goes live. And then these people are caught up in the whole thing, and you do it like that. You had drills going on in 7/7 in London, you had 9/11, you had Oklahoma City, you had the mass shooting in Oslo, it just goes on and on. You had the Boston shooting, you had Estonia, the bombing of Estonia, which is to this day an accident, absolutely not. She was blown up with almost 1,000 people, innocent people killed. Awful, awful, awful. But they use these drills. So what you do is you get the explosive in place, which would be done the day before or the weeks before, depending on what kind of damage you want to the building. And by the way, they often choose the buildings that they own. And just the days before it happened, somehow miraculously, the insurance policies are changed to include terror acts. It's incredible. What? So lucky, And then they make billions once it blows up. And buildings have often got some kind of problem. Maybe it's asbestos in the basement or something like that. So they need to make a major renovation, or it's very expensive for them to do it. So they take a building like that and use it to blow up. So you got the whole, the position of the hole. You got the explosive. You need evidence to point, false evidence that will straight away point to the patsy, whoever it is you choose. And the one that you choose is somebody you have problems with anyway, or somebody totally innocent. In this case, it would be the truth movement. Other times it could be the yogis or the veggie burgers, or you name it. Somebody that you have problems with, or that are easily blamed. And what you do then is, in the newspapers coming up to the event, you slowly start leaking out things about this group or person or something like that, saying that, ooh, these truth seekers, they have meetings on Tuesdays, yes. And you know, they have a leader, and the leader says, we must meet again next Tuesday. And maybe they're planning something, you know. Maybe they have weapon depots under the things like that, sneaky things. You don't really notice it. They don't do it that obvious, but they leak it out in several different media, so that the subconscious of the population is like, that's a weird group. Preparing them, so that once the bomb goes off, oh, I knew it, I've read it somewhere. Yes, you did, for a reason. So you get the explosives in. The explosives are always really high-tech, super-duper military, the best type of explosives. Not fertilizer bombs, not all of these things. That's absolute bollocks. When they say that, you just look at the evidence, does not match up. The damages does not match up, and so on. You prepare the patsy, and also you have the whole investigation on standby, your investigation, so that if this had happened, the investigation that would move in would be people from the inside, people from them, and from them is very often connected with Freemasonry. Most of these people are Freemasons, and the people in the police that will help them, assist them in this, are very often Freemasons as well. That is how they control them, trust them, and so on. And their task is, once again, to move in, point at the patsy, point at the patsy, point at the patsy. I would also say that once all of this has happened and the whole media, all of this, the whole blown up and the truth movement is knocked out on the side, often nowadays they love declaring martial law for absolute no reason. In with the tanks, in with all of this, super controlled, police everywhere for your protection, so that we get used to it more and more. I mean, I see the tanks, I see they're here for my protection. And then they leave them there for like 2-3 weeks, once again for your protection, so it won't happen again. And then in the end they withdraw. Do they withdraw all of them? No, they do not. They leave about 20% of them. And if you see that, it's exactly what happened from 9/11 and onwards. Every time there's one of these so-called terror acts, I say so-called because I have not seen a single one that is not an inside job, that is not a false flag. Every time they do that, it just goes more and more surveillance cameras, more police, more. I mean, in England, where did the Bobby go? Now it really is Robocop. You meet down the Bobby, you know, with these the tit on the head and no guns and a whistle. Please stop, or I'll whistle again. Where did that guy go? Where did he go? Now it's like heavy arms. You mess with me, I'll blow your head off. You know, it's only it's only 10 years. What happened? You know, and it's coming everywhere, it's spreading everywhere. Look at the Danish police there. I'm like, nice guys, but my God, the technology, all of these, what are they? I don't even know. Scanner here and spotlights there and cameras. I don't know what they're up to. Anyway, one thing that is also important to know is that after all of this happens, it's blamed on the patsy and so on. But if people keep questioning the official story, or there's some journalist that just keeps pushing and saying, but come on, it doesn't make sense. Then you haven't really looked into this. You need to make a new investigation. If in the end they cannot keep it on distance anymore, what they will do is they will appoint a committee. Please understand, this committee is part of the crime. just like the investigation. And what the committee will do, they will call it something fancy, the Committee of Freedom Liberation, or the Committee of Free Speech, or the Stardust, you name it, some fancy one that will give you an illusion of democracy, that they're really doing their job. So what they will do is, this commission will spend about a year looking into not the crime, but the investigation of the crime. And then during this year, there will be scandals in the committee, so that somebody will be fired, so they need to appoint a new one, and to be able to inform the new one of what they've been up to this time, it will be delayed 2 or 3 months. You know, come on, how much do you need to be informed about? And they will produce thousands of pages of documents that say absolute zero, and then in the end they will report this report, and they will say that, well, the investigation, they tried, but they made a mistake here, and here, but we have done a great job, and that's it, case closed. And over this year as well, there's been so much writing about it in the newspapers that they indirectly control, that the normal person is so fed up with it. Then, if people don't give up after the first commission, down the line, what will they do? They will appoint a second commission. When it comes to the Palme assassination, we're up in 3, almost 4 commissions, you know. And in the end, people will just go, oh my God, please don't tell me anything more. I can't bear it. Just stop it. And they've got away with it. But not anymore. Because this is the thing. I come from a point of love, freedom, these aspects. I do not believe in violence, revenge, hate at all. At all. That is absolutely the wrong way to go. That is their ball game. And if we try to hit back with them, we are fish food. They will crush us. They will use that as an excuse to just squash us. Not the way to go. The way to go is a totally different way. By exposing them, by exposing their methods, because they can only get away with it because we are not aware. We have not been aware. That is why I've spent so many years of trying to go out and show the methods, how they do it, how they trick us, how they dupe us. And by doing that, once you start seeing, it's like a magician. If he's doing a trick like this, you're so amazed, like, my God, how did he do it? Once you understand that the trick was done with his right hand behind his back, once you see that, you don't even look at the left, you see, check it out, he's doing it with the right. So the magician can't do it anymore. Same here, expose the methods, you eliminate it. Without hitting back, you just say, we're not buying it anymore. And after these, the latest, I mean, now they're trying to just push us down on a weekly basis. They call it the scare of the week. I don't know if you noticed, but there's mass shooting on a weekly basis. It's not like 2 a week, no, it's 1 every week. Come on, a little imagination. Does it have to be static? You know, no, 1 a week. Boom. Boom. And by the way, it's now more or less always on military installations. Why? Because there you can control info coming out. So easy to say, oh, 14 soldiers died. No, they did not. But there's a list of names here, and so on. So, am I optimistic about the future? I am super, super, super optimistic. Because there's this beautiful, beautiful awakening going on. Absolutely stunning. I mean, I've done this for 30 years. It has been a so lonely road, so scary road, so sad road to walk on my own. And I know a real hero, I think, is a man called Michael Rupert, who committed suicide about a month ago. He's a former LAPD man. He was one of the first who stood up and exposed the corruption in Los Angeles. He was one of the people really going into exposing 9/11 and so on. They tried to shoot him, they tried to whatever. I mean, he was mangled, hammered, all type of things. And he described his journey. He said that his role, and I totally identify with that as well, is from the native Indian point of view, the role of the scout. You go into enemy territory. You are on your own. You go and your task is to go all the way to the belly of the beast, all the way in, discover who are they, what are the methods, what are they doing, how are they doing it, and then withdraw, still alive, not being eliminated on the way, get out, and on the other side being able to give a report that is trustworthy. Very lonely road, very scary road, very dangerous road. And he in the end felt that for some reason that he had enough and apparently killed himself. But there's no need for that anymore. The role of the lone scout is not needed anymore. It's done. Now the crowds, there are all these beautiful people just blooming all over. It's like popping up everywhere. People used to get so fed up, just please shut up, don't talk about it. Now, I mean, look at it. I've been giving interviews non-stop. I'm really exhausted. It's like boom, 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 boom. Yeah, but what about this? What about this? What about this? It's wonderful. And I can just say to the elite, if I can speak directly to them, please, I ask you from the bottom of my heart, you don't have to be very clever to see the game is over. The game is over. I know that you think that we think that, ooh, you're so scary. And it looks very scary. If you look with a logic mind, we're screwed. We might as well go and kill ourselves. If you look on another point of view, when you see the awakening that is going on, the game is over. There was a War Tribune in 2006, I would think, that sentenced George Bush Jr., Boy George, Tony Blair, Dick Cheney, for crimes against humanity, crimes against peace. This sentence is a valid sentence that has been delivered to the war court in Hague. If they pop up or show up in any of the countries that are part of that sentence, they will be arrested if that country has some kind of balls, to grab them. On the 31st of March this year, the English Queen, Queen Elizabeth II of Windsor, and the former Pope were subpoenaed to court in Brussels. Similar court, it's a people's court with international judges, international lawyers. This is a valid court. They were tried for child genocide. I mean, these are heavy, heavy accusations. And I don't know if they've been sentenced yet, but the court has been going on and so on. By the way, Queen Elizabeth, just a week before the court started, there was a press release saying that due to high age, she's not going to travel anymore. Could it be connected somehow? I don't know. You make up your own mind, but apparently Elizabeth prefers staying at home. Who can blame her? I'm just saying that if these people, they have been untouchables for such a long time, such cowards when you look at their actions, I mean, come on. What kind of courage does it take to hide behind all of these dark walls, closed doors, and then start wars on innocent people, blowing so much, causing all this pain and injustice to the whole world? What type of courage does that? Does Henry Kissinger go and fight wars on his own? Absolutely not. Super, super cowards, you know. So I would, if once again I approach the elite, I would say, come on guys, have some balls. See that this is the time for you to redeem yourself. This is the time when you will be welcomed as a hero. If you turn whistleblowers, it includes most of you. I don't know about dear Mr. Kissinger, but many others. If you take a step forward in truth, in transparency, just like the Truth and Reconciliation Committee in South Africa, have the guts to step forward and expose what you have been part of. In courage, we will welcome you. The longer you will wait, the colder the embrace. But now is the time to step forward and do it. And I, for one, welcome you.
Okay. I have, anyway, actually, I'm curious. In the last 2 or 3 years, 5 years, you've addressed the wonderful relief that a lot of people are coming on board. A lot of the loving life, giving people of the world are starting to awaken to the presence of this wickedness. Okay, to the new guys coming on board that are still early in this learning curve, you know, starting to emotionally become part of the freedom movement themselves and the truth movement and everything, do you have any special advice or words for them?
I sure have. I would say that this is a painful awakening for most people. And it's just, we've been talking about this the last few days here as well. It's almost like if you come into a situation where you lose a close loved one, somebody close to you dies, or suddenly you're diagnosed with cancer or something like that. There are different steps to go through it. First, denial. You say, oh, come on, you must be kidding me. You cannot, it's not possible with a conspiracy the size of this, the magnitude of this that you're telling me. Denial. Then after a while you start seeing, oh, is it really possible? You go into like confusion. You start educating yourself. The more you learn, you go like, some people go into anger, some people go into depression, somebody goes into deep, deep sorrow and sadness, and they lose hope and they get powerless and all of these things. Or they get totally obsessed and they try to convince the whole world that the whole world is one massive conspiracy, everything is black and awful and we're going under. People are very sensitive to energies, and when you come from that feeling, when you try to stuff it down people's throat with all of these things, you will, I guarantee you, the reaction will be, oh my God, shut this person up. I don't want to listen. Go away. And you will see that everybody, I think all of us will have done it on some stage or another. Try to convince dad, mom, sisters, brothers, friends, you're the party pooper. I mean, let's have some party. Yeah. Oh my God, they're talking conspiracies again. What a loser. Not the way to go when you push it on someone else. Because it's so dark. It really it is so dark when you go in there. I would say the main thing is to try and find the balance inside. I would also say it's a good idea if you can disconnect emotionally, because it's only when you're disconnected that you can not drown. The whole idea is that, do you want to be useful and make a difference, or do you want to be useless and depressed and powerless? I would say be useless. Useful. Sorry about that. Freudian slip. Anyway, so the whole idea is, it's a matter of frequencies as well, because the global elite are very, very aware of the importance of how you feel, or that is why they try to control us with fear. If you notice, everything that comes from them is fear-based. Terror, wars, death, destruction, all this media, depression, down, and then feed them some X Factor and Idol and just some sports, keep them down there, but do not let them up, do not let them come up and become happy, my God, because once the more better you feel, the stronger your energy is, and the stronger your energy is, the more difficult it is for them to control you. So I would suggest, since my role is not anyone's role, we all have our beautiful tasks in life, I would say it's good to see what's going on. It's good to see that these forces are here. Not for everyone to go into great detail and understand it. The main thing is almost like what John Kennedy said, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. I would say change the country for your world. What can I do? What can I do to make this a better place? And at the moment, we're being pushed down on such a level that so many people are so sad, so frustrated, so depressed, so in debt, and all of these things. So you have an incredible opportunity of raising that energy by helping others. You feel depressed? I just want to say there's a definition of depression that's been presented to me, and that is I, me, mine, I, me, mine, I, me, mine, that type of thinking will drag you down. If you think if you think how can I help, how can I make somebody else's life better, you start raising the energy, because that is the beauty of goodness, of kindness, of love. Love is the highest energy of them all. When you do an act of kindness, they've done a lot of experiments with it. That makes you feel better. Especially, I'm talking about acts of kindness without expecting anything in return. If you just give, there's a great joy in doing that. The person who receives and feels that there are no hooks to it gets really, really happy from that. And like, whoa, especially if it's not expected. Okay? 2 people. Anyone that sees that act of kindness gets, it gets to them, and it raises their energy. And they go home and say, my God, you should have seen that spread to the next person. It's so easy. There's so many people around you that are sad in whatever. And what I love to do is like anonymous acts of kindness, or drive-by huggings, or, anything that is not expected, No, but things like you drive down the pay road, pay for the person that comes after you, behind you. You have no idea who's that. It's like, what is it, 25 cents, $1? I mean, you can spare a coin. Just say, listen, for whoever comes next, I paid for him. Great. Or in a restaurant, I'll pay for that person over there. $15, whatever. You do that. And just leave it. Don't look at them. Don't let them know. That can totally change that person's life. That can totally give that person back the hope, in humanity, in, my God, there's still hope for us. Look what somebody did for me. It costs you maybe $12 for a burger for something, if you're in the States or something. And it can give somebody hope back and the whole life quality. It is incredible what you can do. You pay for somebody like at the pay road, the person behind you may have been almost suicidal because he's so in a difficult situation. And then somebody totally unknown does a thing like that. Boom! It can give him... I tell you, these type of things are so, so important. Go clean up the neighbor's garden when they're not home. Don't tell them it was you. Fix things. There's an old lady living upstairs. Clean her stairs when she's not there. If she's got problem carrying stuff. I mean, like, it's a hobby of mine. It's just because I love doing it, because I really do. But it's just for my sake, because I feel good. Sometimes I see, there's a bag of a plastic bag with garbage somebody put outside, and they're going to go and they have to carry that. Maybe it's an old lady, maybe it's a big, strong guy, I don't know, but there's a bag of garbage that is supposed to go from there to the garbage bin. Pick it up, put it there. So easy done. Somebody comes up. Where's the garbage? Oh my God, it's there. It's a miracle. I mean, it's ridiculous and not. So instead of focus on death, destruction, all of these, leave that to people that are in balance, that have spent a lot of years trying to find a balance inside them so that they can cope with it. I'm one of them. It's taken me a long, long time, but I'm ready. I'm no problem. I'll put myself in the line of fire. I do whatever is necessary to do. Put me there. If I can make a difference, count me in. If you're not that person, do these type of things. The pay it forward, the movement. You do 3 random acts of kindness to people you don't know. Just the thing, everyone that receives it pays it forward to 3 other. 3 other, 3 other, 3 other. It just whoop like this. And the next time, I just want to end this thing. When you see people in uniform, when you see police officers, when you see these type of people, just because they got uniforms does not make them into monsters. They are beautiful people as well. Some of them very confused, I must say. But if you see them as a brother, as a sister, as somebody's mother or things like, instead of just the uniform, see beyond the uniform. And when you look in their eyes, when they try to scare you, especially if they got shades on and stuff like that, look and see, look for the spark. There's a spark that I love. You look at somebody, especially when they try to look really hard, like this, And then you look at it, but without buying it, you just look at it with this tiny little smile. Suddenly, boom, there's a spark, and that's the one that connects. From then on, you're fine. You know? It doesn't matter if they got a shotgun or whatever. Look for the spark. Boom, there it is, I'm fine. Okay, and then down the road, share a beer, you know. Maybe if you're interested in seeing what it is you're defending with your big gun and bulletproof vest, I'm happy to inform you. Because it's really sad that you're being duped the way you are. So I would say, judge the sin, not the sinner, and let's create a beautiful future.
Okay.
You don't give up, do you?
Oh my! Well, see, I think this is a wonderful opportunity.
No, I'm happy to.
Now, a lot of people have spent a large portion of their lives committed to some kind of a career, or building a company, or corporation, or being involved in a bureaucracy, or industry, or something like that. And all of a sudden, they'll discover that the world is not what they thought, they thought it was. And often, that discovery causes them to destroy their career, destroy their life, and everything like that, before they learn enough to be able to get their feet back under themselves emotionally and everything like that. Do you have something you'd like to say to people when they find themselves in a situation like that?
Like a soldier?
A soldier who suddenly finds out that instead of serving his country and stuff, he's actually serving, Wall Street, international corporate interests, or helping the drug trade so the banks can launder their money or something, that kind of stuff. Or someone who's working his way towards being, a CEO or something in a large corporation, a middleman who suddenly finds out that he's actually helping some kind of a psychopathic goal or under the thumb of a psycho, that word has become pretty,
I see, emotional.
Focused in a way, yeah. So I think that if we can identify the psychopaths and then gradually weed them out, it doesn't matter what system we live under, that if you get loving people in these positions of influence, then all of a sudden the world will be able to function the way all of us need it to. But actually what I was hoping is you might have a word for someone that's in one of these structures, that their life is compromisable and they suddenly discover, something that might upset them. Do you have a word for them?
It's painful to wake up, especially the more you've been asleep, especially if you're done as a soldier, for instance. You suddenly discover that, my God, I have killed people in the name of freedom, and now I find out that actually I'm a trained killing machine for psychopaths. Very hard to deal with. What I would suggest is that instead of trying to fix everything in one go, it's just too big. It's just too big. So if you chop up your daily life in sequences, like small chapters, like for instance, at the moment I'm speaking, the next chapter will be when I leave stage. That's a new one. When I'm here, I just focus on doing my absolute best, focus on love, spread love in this position. Cut. Next sequence, I walk from here to wherever. At that point, focus on not falling, and not hurting anyone. Okay? I come to the next, maybe somebody else want to do an interview, cut, new chapter. I focus on that. What do I focus on? Love. Every single situation you're in, the whole life, it's a matter of, there's like this constant choice, yes or no, and the choices are love or fear. That's the basic one. So if you can see, instead of seeing, I need to change my whole life like this, but if you see that it's a constant choice, see it as like a GPS almost, like a tick, 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 tick. Am I on track? Am I not? As long as you choose love, you are fine. And you will find that the more you choose love, the energy will rise in you. You will start feeling better. Focus on gratitude instead of focus on your problems. Look around you. Turn off the box, which is one of their tools to just totally knock our brains out of function. Look around you. See, oh my God, I got a wife. I've even got children. I haven't spoken to them for 13 years, but maybe that tonight would be a good day. Turn off the box. Do some table games. Be grateful that you have a bed. Be grateful that you have food on the table. Start focusing on that. And then slowly, if you focus and keep choosing that, you will end up in a good spot. And he disappeared. Anyway, I hope that my answer was good for you. And anybody else? Or I will go to my next sequence, which will be to leave the stage. I have a question here.
Well, sure. About Fukushima, I feel like spreading the word, what's going on in Fukushima. And everyone I talk to here in Denmark, they go, Fukushima, what's happening there? And I begin a story and they go, whoa! Next time I see them, they're talking about a lot of different things.
I tell you, some topics are just too hard to handle for most people. That is why I totally avoid things like reptilians. I have no idea if it's true or not. UFOs, I stay away from it. And these very painful topics, like Fukushima, also one that, oh my God, if that is true, the whole world is being in a disastrous situation. When you start talking about these things, you will see this blank type of thing. People's eyes go like this. And that's not the way to go. The only thing that you have accomplished is spreading fear. Yeah. And fear is not the way to go. Once again, be gentle and see, how would you feel if somebody came up to you and said, this whole planet is poisoned. What good would you do with it? I mean, okay, it would get me even more depressed. So is that the way to go? I'm not saying close your eyes to it. I'm just saying be aware of what you're spreading out. I would say spread out good. Love. Spread love.
Yeah. Thank you.
There you go.
Okay, well, does anybody have any more questions or anything? Oh, here he is. Okay.
Yeah, Ole, he wanted. I think would be a ample opportunity for people to ask questions right now if they've got any more questions, and then we could just finish up this session and perhaps move on to a different segment where maybe Ole he could be included as well. Ole Dammegard, that is. We've got another Ole down here. So, but you had a question, Ole, at one point, right? Right. Okay, so we'll move into another part of our...
Anyway, thank you. I hope I spread some kind of uplifting. And now...
Okay, well, thank you very much, Ole.
Thank you.
Really appreciate
I will now go into my next sequence, which is to leave the stage.